Hey everyone, it's Kristen from Salem State's PEAR program to talk to you today about what is coping. We talk a lot in our work with survivors about building effective coping strategies. We ask a lot, how are you coping? Um, and a lot of the videos I have made for you and will make for you talk about different techniques and tools for coping. So I thought it would be helpful to talk for a minute about what coping means. The definition of coping is dealing with a difficult situation or difficulty in some way, shape, or form. So really what we're talking about is how do you deal? How do you deal with these difficult things that you're going through every day? And the answer is, it depends. It's different for everybody. There are many, many examples of healthy coping mechanisms I could talk about, as well as unhealthy coping mechanisms. What we really want to focus on is starting to build those healthy coping mechanisms. And that can be in a variety of ways. Something that I think is very helpful is to just kind of take a minute and look around and take stock of where you're at in your journey. What are the resources you have? What are the things you already like or don't like? What is readily available in your environment? And how do we use those to build effective coping mechanisms? There are a lot of great traditional coping strategies and coping mechanisms like yoga and meditation, therapy, of course, groups, all different things. And then there are the smaller things that maybe you don't really think about it as a way of coping. But if you take a step back, you can see that it's these smaller things that can be really effective in helping to pull you forward into the next moment. So let's talk a little bit about kind of both types of coping. There are the larger scale coping strategies that are super important and amazing. And I think finding some of those that really work for you is great. Yoga is fantastic, and there are amazing yoga resources for free on the internet, which is great when we're unable to get to a class or we're just not comfortable doing that. There is meditation, which again is a fantastic coping strategy. And there are assorted ways to do meditation. You can do a guided meditation, you could do visualization. There are a lot of different things. There are some great apps that help guide you through meditations. There are some great resources on the internet as well. There are things like grounding exercises, which you might or might not be familiar with. Grounding is really about rooting yourself into the present moment, which, when we're dealing with these difficult things can be really hard. We get really stuck in our brains and in our thoughts about what happened or what might happen, and the feelings can become really overwhelming. Grounding is a great way to bring ourselves back right now to this present moment to help dissipate some of that anxiety and stress. There are a lot of fantastic techniques for grounding, and we're going to work on some of those. I'm going to do another video to teach you a couple of other videos to teach you some grounding strategies that I particularly like. In addition to those kind of bigger types of coping, let's take a look at the smaller things. Things like, what makes you feel better? What gives you a little boost during a difficult time? What can help you to feel like I can deal with this, even if it's only for a minute or 5 minutes? That can be as simple as taking a deep breath, talking to a friend, getting a great cup of coffee. I joke a lot, but it's really true that having a good iced coffee can really turn my day around. So it can be something small like that. Hearing your favorite song, watching your favorite movie, being out in nature, or being cuddled up in your bed with all of your warm pillows and, doing something that feels really soothing to you. So think about that as you go through your day. Where are the moments that you feel maybe a little bit more okay? And how can you build on those moments? How can you help grow those into coping strategies, or are they coping strategies already? And in addition to that, what are the bigger strategies you can incorporate in your day-to-day life? You might not have time to do 90 minutes of yoga every day, but could you do, a minute or two of, a couple of poses if you learned them? Could you take 2 or 3 deep breaths in the morning and at night versus doing a half hour of meditation? And then maybe some days you have time for those larger scale activities. So just some food for thought. Think about, what does coping mean to you, and what are some of your coping strategies? And I'll be back with some more ideas on how to ground, how to cope, some videos on a technique called the coping hand, some videos on some yoga poses, and some breathing techniques. So hopefully you will join me for those. And thanks again for watching.